I heard a saying a couple of years ago that goes, what happens west goes east. But at the same time, you have to go east to know the truth. So we've flown over some people from west. We have some very interesting persons over here that's going to be following up here. Please stand up. This is Ask Nature. Have you heard about that? Anyone? Ask Nature. Are you using it? All right, you're going to hear lots more of this. This is deLuca from Ask Nature. And of course, Christopher Allen as well from Ask Nature. You're going to share this moment of truth when it comes to biomimicry. Okay, and you're welcome over here.
Thank you.
A big hand.
Before I begin, I'd really like to thank the generosity and vision of the hosts and the organizers of this conference. It's just fantastic to get so many different minds, curious minds together to face what are difficult but also really exciting challenges. So I'd like to thank all of you. So you've been hearing the word biomimicry and biomimetics, and how many of you feel like you've got a clear definition of what biomimicry is in your head? Very few hands. I've been speaking a lot about biomimicry over the past few years, and rarely do we have very many people that really understand what it is, even though you catch the buzz of it. So I'll spend the next couple of minutes explaining what biomimicry is, at least from the perspective of the Biomimicry Institute, and then Chris will follow up with more about what the Institute and the Biomimicry Guild is all about in some of our projects. I would suggest that the reason that we're all gathered here today is because we're all facing similar challenges. Whether you're a student, you're an architect, you're a business person, you're a scientist, you're coming from the wood products industry, you've got the challenges of constant and unpredictable changes, whether it's in the economy, which has become very unpredictable, or even our weather. And that's a real challenge for us. We also have limited resources, whether it's money or wood or time. We have increasing environmental awareness. Each of us are becoming more environmentally aware. The political world has to deal with that. And inside our organizations, just like Antonia mentioned, we have increasing environmental awareness. And what do we do with that? That's a challenge. That has to be weighed against our short-term survival during, right now, what are difficult times, balanced against long-term sustainability. And beyond all that, we want to thrive. We don't want to just survive. We want to do better than that. We want to be able to contribute to the economy, our communities. We want to contribute to the environment, not just have less of an impact. And I really don't think it's too much to ask, can't we be happy and have fun while we're doing all that? That's part of what it means to be human. I would argue that those of you out there that are successful in your organizations and your businesses and your life have done so because you recognize that challenges are also opportunities. What one person sees as a challenge, you, your organization, sees as an opportunity, as a niche. And that is exactly what organisms in nature do. They look at challenges as opportunities, they find their niche, and they thrive, they sustain. So what is biomimicry? The word biomimicry comes from combining bio, which means life or living things, just like biology, and mimicry, which means to copy or to emulate. That term was coined by this woman, Janine Benyus, back in 1997 when she came out with her book, Biomimicry, Innovation Inspired by Nature. Janine's a biologist, and she's a fantastic writer and speaker, so if you have a chance to read her or listen to her, I would very much encourage you to do so. When she talks about biomimicry, she says, biomimicry is the conscious emulation of nature's genius. And I think that's a really beautiful way to say it, but I'm an engineer and much more pragmatic, so I like to give people a little more of a working definition. And I'll say that biomimicry is the practice of applying strategies from nature to create sustainable design solutions. That's something you can kind of, sink your teeth into. If you haven't heard the term biomimicry before, you've seen it in action. Velcro was designed by emulating the strategy that birds use to cling to animal furs. We've all had that experience. Corrugation emulates the strategy used by scallops to get more strength out of a piece of material. And of course, solar energy emulates the strategy of taking energy directly from the sun and transforming it into another form of energy. So we're emulating strategies used by the natural world. So why biomimicry? Of all the other sustainable tools you may have heard out there, the basic idea is this. On Earth, where we all live and we all operate, we have certain operating conditions. Earth is water-based. We're not petroleum-based, we're not toluene-based, we're a water-based planet, and we need to deal with that. As I mentioned a minute ago, Earth is full of dynamic conditions. We live in a state of dynamic non-equilibrium. Things are always changing, and even October 15th next year is going to have different weather than October 15th this year, and we can't predict that. So we've got to deal with that dynamic condition. And of course, we have limited resources. Even sunshine on the Earth is limited. So we've got these basic parameters to deal with. The idea is that nature, the 30 million some species that are living out there today, collectively, happily, have figured out with very small brains, no machines, no engineers, no money, they figured out how to sustain on Earth for 3.85 billion years. That's through ice ages and meteors hitting the Earth. They have figured out how to survive. Isn't that the definition of sustainability? By contrast, humans have very big brains. We have machines, we have engineers, we have factories, we have toxic chemicals, and yet we've been on the Earth for a very short period of time, and the way we're heading now, it looks like we are not going to sustain. So the idea behind biomimicry is what can humans learn from the 30 million other species out there that have figured out how to sustain given the basic operating conditions we have here on Earth. So why biomimicry?